What is going on, everybody? I am going to teach you how to make an industrial waste kind of Grimdark base here using the new Ghost Drybrush. This is the large one. If you've been following along, we're using the same exact brush we've been using the whole time, and we're going to do this with very cheap paint today. So if you're on a budget, this will be a great tutorial for you. So if you like my little AdMech basing scheme here, I'm going to show you how I do it, and it's very, very easy. So today we're going to be using the larger of the two new Ghost dry brushes live on Kickstarter, January 2020. So coming up very soon. You can see it's still, look at that, we've dry brushed all this stuff. We dry brushed this bust of Dracula, to show you how to zenithal prime. And check it out, I'm telling you, this shape, it just works. Look at that. Behind the black background there, the hairs aren't even starting to peel away from the cylindrical shape. This is the future of dry brushing and getting some really nice layers of dry brush paint on the models. So hopefully you check out the Kickstarter when it's live. Hopefully you subscribe. If you want to buy a set of my current round brushes, they're on eBay. Or if you want to wait till January to back the project, you'll get those, plus the new dry brushes, the big size and the slightly smaller size in January is when that's live. So let's check this out real quick. These three bases are all the same, but I wanted to show you what they look like before. So this is the bases, how I start. And what this is just some cork, put down with Elmer's glue or super glue. Some little rocks. I like to mix a few different sizes of rocks. I think it gives just a little interesting texture. Also, it's kind of a pain in the butt to wait for multiple sizes to dry. That's all super cheap. So here I show you just what a base looks like with cork on it. Little pro tip when you're doing cork, buy some of these clips. And you can use these clips, put one there, maybe one there. And that'll help get your cork to glue perfectly flat to the base. So pro tip, get some of those little clips. And I'll link those clips below too. They're super cheap. You can get them on Amazon. They're dirt cheap. So after you glue the cork and the gravel, we're going to take out the Vallejo thick mud. This is the industrial thick mud. It is awesome. You can kind of sculpt with it in a way. You can use your brush to kind of smooth it out. It makes this very hard. So you can see there, that makes the cork hard, and you can glue models to this easier than just onto the cork. So these two brushes, or these two bases and this black one are all the same, but I'm going to demonstrate real quick how to paint this one. So primed black, of course, we're going to use this cheap folk art burnt umber. You can probably use any dark brown you like. I think Dryad Bark would be a good Games Workshop one, or maybe, what's the other one called? Rhinox Hide. Rhinox Hide's a little warmer, a little redder tone, but I put way too much down for this. But we are going to get our brush loaded with the burnt umber. And this one we're going to do kind of a wet brush. So what that means is we're still going to wipe it off on the napkin here, but we're not going to worry too much about getting it all off. Okay, and what we're going to do is just to basically go in to the deeper parts of the base. So we're going to say the cork and gravel are rocks, and the lower part is mud. So we're just going to start mixing it in there. And this isn't as much of a dry brush as it is a wet brush. And what I'm doing is putting a dark brown paint over the black. And this is just the base coat here. So we'll get a little more. And we're just going to work it in. And the beauty of these dry brushes, you can be pretty rough with them. And they're going to hold up on you really, really nice. So they're definitely going to last you a long time. Whereas traditionally, maybe your dry brushes get beat up pretty quick. And, dry brushes are supposed to get beat up pretty quick. So it's nice if they last a little bit longer. And It's just a little extra benefit for you. So here we go, real quick. We basically are just working in the brown into the darker or the lower areas of the base. We're going to fill that, make that a little toxic pool, so we don't need to worry about in there. But we'll just kind of give it a little stab and twist in there. One thing that's important, you don't need to worry about the brown getting on to the other part. Like, oops, I got some on the top. No big deal, right? I did that on purpose, but still no big deal, right? So this, when you're doing a kind of grimdark, earth, industrial base, anything kind of natural, you don't need to worry because the colors will all be dirty and bouncing off each other. You know, dirt's going to get on everything. So if this brown color here is the beginning of the dirt of the land that it's on, of course everything would be coated in dust of this. So there we go. Real quick, real easy. Next up, this one is Honey Brown Americana. These tubes of paint are like $2 from Michael's. They're craft paint. I don't use them in painting miniatures, and these are the only 3 I have left. I gave them all away to a younger gamer at the game store, but they're really pretty good for just getting started with miniature painting, doing terrain, doing bases, stuff like that. But just the fact that my AdMech army, I have a big army that's all based like this, so I keep these 3 around just when I add new units to the army. This will be 3 more breachers eventually. So we're going to put a little bit of Honey Brown, and this is going to be more of a traditional dry brush. So look, we haven't washed the brush. We haven't washed it yet. We wash it at the end. It's no big deal. So let's try to get a good amount of the Honey Brown into the bristles. You can see it worked in there. And then let's try to work it off. Now, if you go away from your kind of pile of paint here, farther down on the paper, you can work off more. If you work around in this, you kind of get it deeper into the bristles. So maybe do a little mixture of both. You want to kind of load it up. You can do a test like Bob Ross with the old tap, tap, tap. You know, there you go. If you give it a hard push and it leaves like a pretty solid paint, that means there's quite a bit of wet paint inside, and that can cause problems too if you're doing a more precise dry brush. But this is just a base, no big deal. One benefit of dry brush, it dries very, very fast. It's dry, right? Dry brush. So we're going to do this just on the dark brown areas that we just did. We're not worried too much about direction. We're just picking out a basic highlight in those dark brown areas with this kind of lighter brown color. And basically, it's so simple. You're just picking a dark brown and a light brown, and that's all you need to think about. Dark brown, light brown, super, super easy. So the real magic of this is going to show up here in this next step. But I got to get through this because I wanted to show you how easy this is. We've been going about 8 minutes, and I've been demonstrating and talking. This really takes no time at all. One good thing, these brushes have a thicker handle than a traditional brush. Makes it just a little comfier for that kind of rough motion that you're going to be using your dry brushes. So a little bit more comfortable to hold, sturdy in the hand. Let's try to get a little bit of Honey Brown into this area there. Oh yeah, that's perfect. You see here I skipped out on the little rocks, right? There's some brown on the edges, but I wasn't trying to get too much brown into there. So there we go. That's done. This part's going to be magic to you. Oyster Beige. This is like a maybe like a Rakarth Flesh type color if you're using GW. Just a nice kind of beige color. And this one's going to make it really pop. So we don't need a whole bunch of this one. What we're going to do is dry brush just this one color over the black and create all of our stones and rocks. Now, trying to keep it away from the brown. There's still brown in my brush. You could have washed it before this, but it just doesn't make any difference really. Unless you get too much in there. Too much brown, I mean. So do a little test there. It's a pretty good amount, but I'm going to do a real light stroke. So this is just over the rocks here. We're just going to give it little brush strokes. This is one direction I'm doing right now just to demonstrate. And we can really start to pick out and build up all these rocky surfaces. Now I'm going in opposite direction to pick up a little bit more details. Try to pick up the rim. If you can see that there, where it went over the brown, it kind of has a tan color. Where it went over the black, it kind of has a gray color. So that's just one thing to be... Oh, I almost dropped it right in the paint. One thing to be aware of when you're dry brushing. So just to build it up real quick, we can give it a really rough dry brush with the remainder paint. All directions, back and forth. Boom, 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 boom. Beautiful. Here we go. Perfect, right? No problems at all. And then we'll put that down. We'll watch that when this video's over. A secret little magic touch. This is Nurgle's Rot from Citadel Games Workshop. Technical paint. It's like a slimy green gloss kind of color. It's going to dry like a little toxic pool. We're going to be rough on our brush here, so I'm grabbing just a beat up cheek brush. That basically is the same brush I used to apply this stuff with. You can see there's all kinds of caked on basing material. The brush is beat to heck. You can see in the even the hairs are just all twisted and turned, but that's fine. Here we go. One basically complete. I mean, it's that easy. All you got to do now is just go around the edge and paint it black and clean it up. I know it's going to pop. But what we're going to do here is turn this into a Grimdark industrial waste style, and we're just going to put some Nurgle's Rot in. We're not waiting for this to dry. We could. It's not going to hurt, but we're just doing it for demonstration purposes. I want to show you that you don't have to wait. So basically I'm saying maybe there's some ooze coming out from somewhere under this, and we're going to bring it out here along the rocks. You don't have to base coat your base with any kind of green paint and do layers or nothing. You can just go straight Nurgle's Rot, put it on real thick. See how goopy that is? My brush is full. And you can just kind of glob it on, and you get to decide where the toxic pools were flowing. And we're going to say they're flowing all the way to the rim here. And I want to fill it in. I want a thick coat. And we'll bring it around this we'll bring it to that little hill. So there we go. We're going to stab just in there. Try to make it look like the ooze is kind of passing from there to here, or from here to there. And there you go. There you have it. Grimdark, perfect, battle-ready base for your Warhammer in basically no time at all. You could crank these out if you had them all prepped up and ready to go. You know, you could do a unit. Obviously, these are bigger bases. They're like 50 mil. You don't even have to do this many little details on like 25, 32 mil. Like one piece of rock and a little pool of Nurgle's Rot, and your whole army's going to match perfect. And like I said, just paint the rim black, and you're going to start impressing everybody with your new industrial waste bases. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Please check out the Kickstarter. I'm so excited for it. I'm going to go and wash my beautiful, beautiful dry brush and this crappy craft brush. So I'll talk to you soon.